Welcome to this explainer, everyone. I'm super pumped about today's topic because we're going to unlock a seriously powerful skill for your web development toolkit. We're talking about taking a static, completely lifeless web page and transforming it dynamically using the document object model, or as we all know it, the DOM.
Have you ever looked at a web page and just wondered, how on earth does this content update without the page reloading? Well, if you want to dynamically change website content, the secret sauce is entirely in DOM manipulation. It is literally the absolute core of making websites interactive, and we're going to master exactly how it's done today.
Okay, let's map out our attack plan. First, we'll look at the essential two-step workflow. Then, we'll take a deep dive into innerHTML, followed by mastering text content. And finally, we'll put innerHTML and text content head-to-head.
So jumping right into step one, the two-step workflow. Think of this as the golden rule of DOM manipulation. Here's the deal. Every single time you want to alter something on a page, you've got to follow this exact professional workflow. First, you grab the specific element you want to target. Second, you apply a method to actually change its content. It makes total sense when you think about it, right? You can't just swing a hammer without knowing what you're hitting. You have to select your target first, then use your tool. You've got to do both in that exact order.
Moving right along, let's dive deep into our very first tool for step 2, innerHTML, and how it handles structure. So, innerHTML is a DOM method used to either retrieve or set the full HTML markup contained inside an element. And the absolute key phrase here is HTML markup. This tool doesn't just play with plain text, it actually processes the structural HTML tags themselves. Things like your paragraph tags, your divs, or your anchor links. Let's see this workflow in action. Step 1, we gotta grab our target. Here, we're setting up a variable called myBody, and we're assigning it to document.getElements by tag name, passing in the string body. What this does is search the entire document, finds the body tag, and tucks it away in our variable for safekeeping. But hold on, there is a massive technical trap right here that trips up so many developers. When you use getElements by tag name, the browser doesn't just hand you a neat little HTML element. It actually gives you an array-like object. So to get the actual tag and start using properties on it, we absolutely have to use array notation. Since it's the first and, well, the only body tag in that array, we isolate it by slapping on square brackets with a 0. Now, what's really interesting here is what happens when we use our tool just to read data. If we take that isolated body tag, add a dot, and call the innerHTML method exactly like this, without setting it to anything, it simply spits out all the existing HTML data nested inside that tag. The browser essentially hands you a gigantic string of every single HTML tag that currently makes up your page's body. But hey, we're not just here to read data, right? We want to manipulate it. This is step 2, fully in action. If we take that exact same code and set it equal to a brand new string of HTML, we completely overwrite the old content. Here, we're setting it to just a single paragraph tag that says, I am a paragraph tag. And get this, the second you hit enter on this, all the original HTML inside the body vanishes instantly. Poof, replaced entirely by this one little paragraph. Okay, obviously, nuking the entire body of a website to show one paragraph is a pretty extreme example. You're probably not going to be doing that on the job. In the real world, you're going to use innerHTML when you specifically need to inject or alter structural tags. A perfect use case would be updating a navigation section where you need to pass in new anchor tags for links, or maybe dynamically building out a list structure. It's for when the actual HTML needs to change. Which brings us to our next major topic. Mastering text content for updating plain text. Another method, but this one is strictly used to get or set the plain text of an element. It completely ignores structural HTML tags. Basically, if innerHTML is your heavy machinery for demolishing and rebuilding a page's structure, text content is your precision scalpel for just swapping out words. It's way cleaner and honestly much safer when you don't need to mess around with markup. Let's run through our two-step workflow using this new method. Step 1, we grab the element. Let's say we want to change a specific title on the page. We'll spin up a variable called myTitle, and this time we use document.getElementById, passing in the string page title. Now here's the crucial shortcut. Because IDs are strictly unique to a page, meaning you can literally only have one element with that specific ID, the browser doesn't bother returning an array this time. We completely bypass that array trap we dealt with earlier.
It just hands you the single HTML element directly. No square brackets, no zero, just clean, straightforward code.
Awesome. On to step 2, changing the content. Since we already have our exact element secured, we just take our myTitle variable, add .textContent, and set it equal to our new string. The second this executes, the old header text is instantly swapped out for, "Yo ninjas, get ready to learn, woohoo!" It's ridiculously easy, and best of all, it leaves any surrounding HTML structure completely untouched.
Okay, now for the main event, innerHTML versus text content. How do you choose the right tool?
Let's make this decision crystal clear so you never have to second guess it. On one side, innerHTML gets or sets the full markup. You grab this tool when you need to make structural changes to the page itself. On the flip side, text content strictly gets or sets text nodes. You use this one for plain text updates only. If you categorized them like this in your head, grabbing the right method becomes absolutely effortless. And real quick, let's recap the selection syntax from step 1 of our workflow, because grabbing the element correctly is just as critical as the method you apply to it. Remember, getElements by tag name gives you an array, so you absolutely must isolate your target using an index, like 0. But getElement by ID returns that single element directly. Mixing these up is one of the most common reasons scripts fail to run, so lock that difference into your memory. To sign off today, I want to channel the exact energy from our source material. Yo ninjas, get ready to learn. Woohoo! You now possess the golden 2-step workflow. You know exactly how to grab your target, and you know the precise moment to deploy innerHTML for structure versus text content for text. So here's my challenge to you. What part of the web are you going to dynamically manipulate first? Open up your browser's console, grab an element, and try changing it right now.